Troy,
Hi, welcome to Maker's Bar. I'm Akshata Shetty, your host, and today we have a very special episode where we have everyone, each one of our podcasters over here, and we are going to be sharing our story and how we got started. So, I'm going to moderate all of you, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. And I'm really excited to hear each one of your story. And
imagine.
sorry,
Sorry.
you're saying something?
No,
Yeah.
I was pulling up my list of all my podcasts I've done for Maker's Bar because I wanted to have them present as we went through this.
Oh wow, that's amazing. So if you each of you want to introduce yourself, we can start with Seth.
I'm Seth Guru Baxter with Maker's Bar. It's going on, I think, our second year, and I'm excited to be here with my colleagues and looking forward to us digging into some good questions and getting to know each and every one of us.
Hi there, I'm Jennifer Loading, and I have no idea when did you start this show, because we're like in the beginning, like right? We've known each other from the beginning, so I don't even know when you started this. I've been here for a little while, and
yeah, it was. I think we spoke to each other August of 2023, or yeah,
okay.
because
Yeah.
I remember I came back from India from July of 2023, so that's where it all got started.
Okay, well, that's how long I've known you then. So
I know. Troy.
Yeah, I'm Troy Goldenberg. I also think I've been here since the beginning of that, and yeah, I just kind of created my own podcast after a small entrepreneurial vending machine company I made in college, and wanted to try podcasting now, and came across you and Maker's Bar. It's exactly what type of project I wanted to work on, so I was just really excited to be a part of the team here.
Yeah. So Harvey.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Suhavi. I am a lawyer based out of Mumbai, India. I joined Maker's Bar when I was in between jobs and I wanted some motivation. And it really helped me with that. And I'm grateful that, in fact, I watched all of your videos before saying yes to Akshata that I want to do this. So it was great learning from you guys before starting this journey on my own.
So
I didn't know we were telling the stories yet. Should I have told my story?
no,
Oh, I'm
not
sorry, I jumped the gun.
No, it's fine. We can continue, and there's a lot of time for all stories. So let's get started on the first question. How did Maker's Bar how did it get started? As you all know, I am an introvert in many ways. I don't like public speaking so much. I started because originally I started it when I think it was during peak of COVID. I have a huge career, a long career, and I thought at some point I realized that I need to have a public profile, and that was my initial reason to do podcasting. But I realized in the whole process that I was not this person who likes to put myself out there, and then it didn't work out with the person that I was doing, and I took a trip to India in July of 2023, and I will never forget it. It was a very, very interesting trip because I was going through a lot personally and professionally as well. And I booked the tickets on Monday, and I remember I paid $3,000 for economy tickets, and I was sitting between two men, and I flew on Thursday, and it was the craziest thing I've ever done. Like, I didn't tell my husband, I didn't tell my parents where I'm going. I just said I'm going to India, and I took the flight. So I went to a place called Varanasi, and then after that, I went to this place called Kechi Dham, which is on the foothills of Himalayas. And during that time, it was a very, very, very interesting trip. I have to say, I've had some experiences which I'm a scientist at heart, and my science cannot explain to me like why that happened. But during the whole time, I got this whole thing that I need to create and raise 1 million leaders. And it was a recurring theme which was coming in. And there was something that happened when I was at Kechi Dham, which was on the foothills of Himalayas. I got this whole thing. There's this man who said that, what's in a name? And he said that it meant like becoming nobody. There's this book which I had read, and it was basically emphasizing that do not think about your name. And these two things like really stayed with me. And I came back and basically created this initial video, which is in our YouTube, which is our first video, creating and raising 1 million leaders. I created that video. And I felt like really scared saying that. The hubris of the statement itself was like, oh my God, it was very scary. Like to say creating and raising 1 million leaders. Who am I to do that? Right. And and then I said, okay, 1 million leaders. I can't create this myself in my lifetime. And I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime either. I said, okay, I need to do something where I open this up to others. And then I put like an ad, and then Jennifer and Troy, both of you, I have to say, like, is the most gracious thing that you've done. I don't know why you trusted me, and you both trusted me at that point. I have no idea what energy I gave out, no clue. And I remember Jennifer and I like really hit it off, and so did Troy. And then we started with the two of them. I would send them some guests, and that's how it all got started. And shortly after that, Makers Bar, Yahoo had a brand called Makers. They came after me and they were like, we need to settle this. And then I spent some time settling with them till like January, so that there's no issues. And every name, if you're naming your podcast, please know we have a lawyer in the house. She knows. Just make sure that nobody else has taken the name. And then I settled with Yahoo, got the trademark, did all of that. And in this whole process, we kept growing, right? So that was when I look back, I cannot even believe it, like how this happened. And if you ask me how this happened, I have no answer, explanation, other than the fact that I've been a technologist and I'm good at operations. These are my strong suites. And that's pretty much it. And rest, I just think it just happened slowly and steadily. And the mission itself was something which was very interesting. And I think every time we speak about that, it like draws in a lot of people. So I always tell, like I'm a technologist, I see a lot of founders. I always tell them that, hey, always have a great mission, no matter what, kind of a thing. So that's our story. A little bit about our story. I hope it was not, boring, and I didn't make it boring, but that's how it all got started. I really want to thank each one of you for doing this. And I hope this is helping each one of you in some way or the other as well.
AK, I would like to thank you for the opportunity. This has been an incredible experience and journey for me myself. Is this going toward me, or we're taking turns from this area?
Yeah, we're going to start taking turns, and I'm going to start questioning all of you all now, and I'll be the host today. Okay, so let's start from Seth. And the first question is, what inspired you to podcast with Makers Bar?
I sent my youngest son off to college, and we had done this about 2-month college tour. And I came back. I was working in corporate, but during COVID, I'd been asked to speak a lot in different panel discussions because of my work with youth and government. And so I was really thinking, okay, now my son is going off to school. What am I going to do on this next phase? Because I'd done public speaking a lot and been doing these chat rooms and conversation things. And I really was saying, I really want to share this opinion of mine, or at least interview interesting people. And I was really became interested in podcasting. But I found I had ended up with a cancer diagnosis. And with the cancer diagnosis, they were telling me it was pretty serious. And I was thinking, well, I can't work right now, so I'm going to have to be home while I'm going through these medical treatments. And I had been checking around to see learning about podcasting and what the tools would be, because I knew I had a voice, and I knew I'd really begun interested in that. So while I was getting treatments for the cancer, I started looking around, and I came across this ad that fit in with what I was doing, and it was creating 1 million leaders. And it fit right in with my work with young people in youth and government, because our motto was also creating 1 million leaders. And I touched base with who I call AK, because I could not say her name right. So I don't say it AK, but came across AK and started seeing what her mission was. And it fit right in where I had this opportunity to be able to grow with podcasting and learn how to do more of it in this same area, where I wanted to be a part of creating other leaders through examples and conversation. And during this time and learning about this, I was getting into cancer treatment. And as I came out of that and ended up seeing that I was cancer free, which was such a blessing, I started interviewing guests in different places. And then AK and she started sending me some guests with Maker's Bar, and I've been here ever since. And it has been one of the most incredible experiences of my lifetime, and some of the leaders that I've interviewed, because in my corporate life and in the interview life and public speaking life, AK and I talked about, I worked with the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu. And in my company that we did before, it was to create peaceful leaders, working with Nobel Prize laureates in the Peace Jam. And so I had a familiarity in wanting to grow leadership, but now Maker's Bar gave me the opportunity to be able to interview others that were on the cutting edge. And it has been an incredible journey since then. And now it has just brought in so many other connecting points of people who are inspirational. And it's just been one of the greatest things that I can tell you since I've got into this. And it's launched so many other things. So that's my Maker's Bar journey.
Yeah. Jen, thank you, Seth, for sharing this story. And I had no idea about your cancer, diagnosis. I hope you're doing well. So
yes.
Yeah. Jennifer, if you want to go next.
Yeah, sure. So I don't, when I came to this, I'm not exactly sure where I was at that time, but I already had a podcast, and I've been doing a podcast the entire time. I've had a show that I've been running since 2019. Started it right before COVID hit. Took a back seat on that, launched another show, and then put the other show back and brought the original one back. And so I'm still doing that show. But here's what I will tell you. I think at the time that I was introduced to Maker's Bar, and I like this AK thing, so I need to call you this too, because it's
AK.
Yes, you're going to be AK to all of us. I think it's easier. I think at the time when this came about, I sort of viewed this as an opportunity to talk to some different people that were outside of the people that I was normally interviewing in my space. Because a lot of the people that I was interviewing when I first started were local people, which I love my local people because it's great. It's great support. We get great, movement within the podcast and the episodes. But I get a lot of the same. I was getting a lot of the same type of people, coaches and authors. And so I really wanted to move in to some other areas. And so it's been interesting because since that's happened, I've had on my other show now, tech people calling me, which I know nothing about tech. Those have been some of the most interesting conversations. And some of the people that I've met on Maker's Bar have actually become friends of mine now outside of that. They've come on my show, my other show, and I still keep in touch with them. Damon Limby is one of them that was a guest on Maker's Bar. I interviewed him on my other show, and we still communicate. And oddly enough, we have mutual connections here in Dallas. And so, so I've had a lot of really cool things come from that. But I think honestly, for me in the very beginning, it was just, hey, I want to get some exposure. I want to meet some different people. I want the growth. And I tell people now, I think between, all the shows I've done, I've probably interviewed like 600 people. Like I've had so freaking conversations, with amazing people. And even like the politicians. Oh my goodness. Very different conversation.
Yeah, totally agreed. And I have to say thank you, Jennifer. I have no idea. Like back then when I put that statement out there, and I remember you and Troy were the first two people I spoke to, and I was like, why are these people trusting me? But okay, they're trusting me. That's good. I had my self-doubts over there. I was like, okay, they're trusting me. I'm glad. You know what I mean? So I'm saying
you couldn't. There wasn't. Look, this is the way I saw this. Not what was going to go wrong. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. Like, we just, worst case, we're going to meet some people.
Yeah. I love the attitude. I was like, oh my God, these two are trusting me. I'm so glad, kind of a thing. I have no idea what I'm doing, but these two are trusting me. So I have to do something, right? So I'll let Suhavi share the story next, and then it'll be Troy. Yeah.
So I've always been a talker,
Yeah.
and but over the years, I sort of lost talking, like and how to converse with people, and also because of I think COVID.
Yeah.
I was just out of my masters. I'd come back to India, and suddenly I forgot how to talk and how to be in public. And right after that, I'd moved to a different city, and I was looking for jobs, and I'd just also gotten married. So I was like in a very weird new space, and suddenly I'm looking for jobs, and I see a volunteer opportunity on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And as an unemployed person, that's not what you should be looking for, but it seemed so interesting. Um, so I always wanted to have like a purpose in life, and I read about the mission, and I told my parents about it, and I couldn't explain to them why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but then I spoke to Akshata, and it just made a lot of sense at that point, and even now. And I'm grateful we
Yeah.
spoke and it happened because I was so excited and pumped my first month. I remember, I think I shot like 5 podcasts in the first month itself because I was so
Yeah.
excited to be doing this.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's how it started, and and I'm glad I've joined this journey, and I'm part of something which is creating something. Yeah.
Yeah, so Harvey, it's a very interesting point, and I didn't say this at the very beginning, right? So I've been in technology for a long time. I've seen all kinds of companies at this point. I mean, I don't want to date myself, and I have to say this is the most satisfying journey I have done. Like since I was in high school, I always wanted to do something for society. Like since eighth grade, and I mean, and generally, it doesn't always translate to money or anything, right? And I grew up until the age of 21. I grew up in India, and I was not encouraged as a woman to do something for society. And I felt like my friends joke and they tell me that, Akshita, if you were not married right now, you would, and if you had not come to the US, and I say that I would probably be in India for public office. That would be my thing if I was not doing that. And these were things that were not encouraged for a woman. So after this whole maker's journey, I am so satisfied in my life. I know I'm not there as much talking to people as y'all are, but I'm so satisfied with my life because I feel like whatever be it, this is
AK, I think you're frozen.
and it is something a piece that thing people leave it through their kids, this that. For me, I don't look at it that way. For me, this is the piece, and I want to like leave this behind in able hands as I'm gone. So for me, that this has been like very very satisfying. And now whatever I'm doing at work or whatever, I'm not seeking that validation that I wanted to do in terms of society. Like most technologists will come to you and say, oh, I want to change the world, I want to do this, I want to build this technology, I want to build that technology. I don't feel that anymore. I feel like, okay, I'm doing this, yes, it's paying me, and I do okay for myself here. But for me personally, this has been the most, like after this I have not seeked, like everybody seeks in their life. I have stopped seeking now. Literally, like I'm very satisfied. I'm very happy, and so I can totally understand like what you're saying. So Harvey, I mean, I totally hear you. So we'll move to Troy now. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I really like to hearing all your stories. Yeah, Seth, I hope you're doing well. I had no idea about
Absolutely.
yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
And for me, my story, as I mentioned a little bit before, was I came out of school with a vending machine company, and I was a consultant with a traveling job, so it stopped growing really, and then COVID hit, and it stopped completely, and my traveling job stopped completely, and ended up selling the company, maybe like 6 months after that or so, once things started getting going again, and I was just kind of looking for my next thing to do. I think it's popular in my generation. Like I think it's a kind of a fad to be like entrepreneur. Like it's one of those things, like very
Yeah.
popular word. And maybe I've fallen into that. Maybe I've just wired that way. But I was just looking for my next thing, and podcasting was just it just seemed so interesting to me. Like I was like, oh wow, you just get the chance to talk to all these incredible people. Maybe one day make money. That'd be incredible. Just make $1 off of this. And but really just want to talk to all these incredible people, hear their stories. Like I've always been interested in that since I was a kid. And so I started my own podcast, and then I think a LinkedIn ad or something just came across, and it was Maker's Bar. We want to create 1 million leaders and leave this impact, this whole thing. I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. Like this is amazing. And so it kind of was a chance to join a team to build something bigger than myself, and and free up my time, because I was spending so much time just editing and searching for guests. It's like I need to make money too, which is still like I'm very much in seek mode. Like I really want to make money so I can have a family and provide for my kids and do all those great things. And so it was a chance it was just perfect for me. It was really just a perfect situation. I fully trust you. I'll shut that. Okay. And I really, really, really believe in what we're building here. And and honestly, to me, it still feels like the very, very beginning. Like we're in chapter 1. Like it really feels like that. And it's just cool to be a part of it. It's cool to be a small part of it and just to see where it goes. And I like everything about it. All the hosts. I haven't gotten to know y'all very well. I feel like I've gotten to know Seth a little bit, but I don't feel like I haven't gotten to know everybody. But the more I learn about everybody, it's just like, yeah, what a great team. And it's really excited to be a small part of it.
Yeah. So one of the things, I didn't make those choices with Troy and Jennifer because I was just thankful that they were trusting me back then. But one of the things that I saw in folks who were doing this, for me, I look for just one quality. They had to be the most innocent of heart and should actually be able to do for society. So that was one quality that I saw before, like having people onboarded. And the other thing was like how people pick for a jury. I really wanted a diverse group. So for me, that was like a big deal. I was very sure that I wanted a very diverse group and people who are much different than me, kind of a thing. So that was another. I remember having this conversation with Seth, and I was like, "Please don't judge me," like, don't judge me. So I that was my thing, because I felt like opinions have to be from all corners of the world. So that was my biggest criteria, because I felt like I want to make it as bipartisan as possible, because I know one day there'll be a lot of things that'll go around this. And you are right, Troy. It's just getting started as of now, and I'm aware of it as well. And it's almost like I remember doing that first thing, join the moment, where we have it in the video. And I felt like when I did that, I knew, like, I don't know how to say this. I kind of knew that this was going to be like a moment at some point. So I have to say some of it was it was not, I mean, my science cannot explain it when I look back. But there was something recently that happened. I was just talking to my best friend, and I was telling her about Muhammad Yunus, and I don't know if you know who Muhammad Yunus is. He started Grameen Bank. I think he was the founder, and he was a professor in one of the universities here. And what he did was he gave $1, to women in Bangladesh. Okay, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but there was a time, even in India for that matter, not now, but there was a time where $1 for a woman in a village would probably go a long way. And that was his lending capacity to these women, where they can do their daily thing. And I had written my business school essay on him. And there was nothing called a social entrepreneurship back then. Okay. And I'm not going to date myself again. There's nothing called a social entrepreneurship. And I wrote my business school essay many years ago, at this point, more than a decade ago, on him, saying that I am very inspired by Muhammad Yunus. And I had totally forgotten about it. And now I was talking to my girlfriend like a month ago or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, I wrote that essay on Muhammad Yunus. Like, I can't believe it. Probably somewhere it was always there in some form or the other. and it is all translated, and it has come to this form. So when I think when I joined the movement, I was like, probably it was there somewhere innate, and it just came in this form, kind of a thing. So yeah. So moving on to our next question. What do you look for guests before inviting them to the show? And what is it
Are
that?
we?
Yeah.
We're,
Yeah, you
we're
can
still
start.
doing clockwise.
In that same order. Yeah.
Or we can start with Troy this time. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little snake draft. Yeah. So for me, I mean, it kind of depends on what the character type is. So interviewing entrepreneurs, just a lot of times it's people that I'm very intrigued in what they're building or just how they've gotten on their journey. So there it's pretty open. And then as far as like the political discussions that I'll have, I've actually learned a bit from my first podcast. I had, just for an example, for what I'm interested in personally, very interested in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and just the politics that are involved there. I actually went and volunteered after a friend of mine got killed during that, and I had a very big, I guess you call it an influencer, so to speak, on the Palestinian side. So one of the things I want to talk to people that I disagree with and just have different perspectives than I do. And we had a great conversation, but that's about 3 hours. Fast forward a month or two, and I've come to find out he says a lot of horrible things on social media. And it was kind of my first lesson of like, I guess you should have you should hold a little bit of responsibility for who we put on a platform and just how you go about that. So when it comes to those, I think I've done a bit more research into like, hey, let's make sure whether I agree with this human being or I disagree with them, no matter who they are. When it comes to political things, like let's make sure that they have good souls, and then you want to like disagree and have those conversations and grow your perspective, but just also to balance that out, that we do have, especially as we grow, we do have a responsibility for that. So that was a learning lesson that I kind of took with me to Maker's Bar. So there's a little bit of research there, but again, like I really want to talk to people that have other perspectives than I do, and that's one of the things that's actually been incredible about Maker's Bar is, especially as we've grown, this brand. This is such an incredible message and brand, and people are very willing to like come on and speak honestly and speak openly and share who they are and their experiences and their viewpoints because of what we built here. So those are kinds of things that I look for, lessons I've taken over the last few years.
Yeah. So Javi?
I'm not so sure how this question applies to me since
Most
most
because
of the
I've said
time,
all the guests, but you have to get there where you become like the person. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So I think the first thing I do is obviously check their LinkedIn and their website and the work that they do. Of course, you can't find out a lot about the person through LinkedIn, but after actually watching, for example, I know I've watched some of Jennifer's podcasts with whoever you've interviewed. So I've seen how you've broken the questions down and asked things, and basis that that's really helped me actually, and that's how I understood how I should talk to them and how this conversation should flow. Because my first two times it was very robotic, following the format and all that, and then once I realized what I'm supposed to do, then it got better, and so now I know how to approach it. And I know this doesn't answer the question, but I just this is what my small input to your question.
Awesome. Jennifer?
Yeah, I want to add to like what all of y'all have said. First of all, thank you, Sahavi. Thank you. But I'm going to kind of touch on all of this because I have sent a few people to Maker's Bar, but I can answer this question because I do run a podcast. And I do think that my mission is, and this is why I think we aligned, AK and I aligned, because our podcasts, although they are different, are very similar. And I say that because everybody that I bring on my show, we're talking about cool things that they're doing. We're talking about how they're making a difference in the world. And whether it be a community service project, a business project, a new movement, whatever it is. When my initial show started, Starter Girls, the whole tagline was, whether you're starting a movement, business, or a brand, we're here to talk about it. Now that show has evolved. I'm going to tell you immensely, because now it's a show that's all about talking about the 4 domains of life. So we can talk about anything from finances to health and well-being to career to romance. I mean, it could be any pieces of life that help you thrive. But I will tell you, the common thread between everybody that I have brought on that show and my other show has been the human quality. I pre-interview every single person pretty much that comes on my show. And that is a 10 to 15 minute call. And the reason I do that is because, one, if they're not willing to do that, I don't want them on my show, because that tells me right there, they're not committed. They're not in a win-win situation with me. They're looking to come in and sell and pitch and do their thing. They're not looking to add value to my audience and the people that are tuning in to what I have to say. So I take that very personal, and really, I don't even know what that is, because I feel like, because I have come from a background, I was in Mary Kay for 22 years where I worked with people and built teams. And then having come into this podcast world, I feel like one of my, and I don't want to be like that bragger person, but I feel like one of my superhuman powers is I can read people pretty well. Unless they are a freaking psychopath, then I can maybe not. Right? But there's not many of those in the world. There's a few, but not many. I say this because I can typically tell when I get somebody on a call immediately. I know, I'm like, I like this person. I just feel it. I got it. We're good. We don't even need another. We're done. We're done. So everybody that comes on, it's always the same conversation. I'm like, there's no formal interview to this. I just want to know who you are. That's, and so I think our goals have aligned from the very beginning. But to what Troy said, it's so true, because these influencers that are out there that are huge and are big are not always your greatest allies. Sometimes you're better off getting the small person in your corner, because they're the ones that align with your mission. They maybe don't agree with you on everything you're talking about, but they're humans and you can relate on that level. And we know us here, and no matter where you're tuning in from around the world, we all have the same basic needs. We all want really the same things in life, right?
I'm glad.
When you can connect on that level, right? When you can connect on that level, it doesn't matter. So to me, it's all about the human. It's finding the right people that align in human decency.
Yeah, agree. Totally agree. Human decency, like I said, the most innocent of heart. I need that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Seth, over to you now.
I'm along with a number of you, pardon me. I love people. Since I was a kid, I am definitely my father's son. He always used to say, never meet a stranger, and you won't. And I just have always had this desire to connect with people and feel that, especially now in the technological social media age, we are searching for connections, even if it's through social media. And so when I look for guests, I'm looking for not only interesting stories, but I'm looking for the person, they have this light in their bio on LinkedIn, or an artist I know. So I'm looking for other people that are already radiating, let's connect. So I look for them in their various fields, whether it be CEO, AI, medical, artistry, entertainment, where they're looking also to connect, because we are so much in a disconnected age. And so I'm looking for that person that through this screen, as we're talking, there's an immediate connection found. And in addition to that, I really have this mission that I feel is, I say at the each end of my podcast, Lovevolution is the revolution we want. And through conversation, I feel we can spark that revolution. And as corny as it sounds, I'm a corny cat. I'm an old school hippie believing, love everybody, Jesus believing, like we can make this world better. I really am that cat. I love believing that we can strive, and our fight is through love. And so when I interview people like you, Jennifer, I always try and have a pre-interview so we can know what we're doing, because I've had some of those guests where I didn't do that, and then we recorded, and then I had to secretly send AK a message like, oh, AK, I don't know about this one.
We've all been there, right? We've all been there. Like, we're not putting this one out. Sorry.
Yes. And I was like, and then even I would just send over AK a message and say, what do you think about this? And I'd send a little squinky face like, oh, I don't know, when I haven't pre-screened them. So, but I just have found so many fascinating people. And through the stories, they're every man, meaning every man and woman, has a story. And I think that lately, Maker's Bar really has been a foundational place for me. That in the guests that I've interviewed, the politicians, because I too, Jennifer, have made some incredible friends that I just I can't imagine having met otherwise through Maker's Bar, who we interviewed and we connected, because I think that Maker's Bar focus in creating those 1 million leaders, the people that we've been interviewing, that I've been interviewing, they're saying, yes, we have a stronger mission that's beyond our human person in this skin that we're going to convey. And bringing those stories to the table during my show is what I want them to be able to do. So in looking for guests, it's what they immediately radiate. And I search for those guests that have that kind of story, whether they be in any of those diverse fields. And so far, I got to say, it has been a really exciting journey. And I keep on finding more and more people that have just really these great stories to tell. And so I search for guests that are human beings that just want to connect, and they have a specific field or industry that they want to share with others.
Yeah. I totally hear all your sentiments, and thank you for doing that. And I definitely feel like, um, I mean, I don't know if I have done this or this has automatically happened, because y'all are so great, that you have figured out to find those souls who really need to, stand in on a platform. And that was the goal of this whole, the whole platform itself. So I'm glad that each one of you are able to resonate with the mission and are able to do this. So it makes my heart full when I hear this. So now moving on to our next question. Has a guest ever changed a perspective? And we'll start from Seth this time. Yeah.
Change a perspective?
Yeah, your perspective.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I got to tell you, several times, actually, several times. I'm always open to learn. I definitely have a strong opinion about things and feeling about things, but I'm never closed off to learning. I want to continually grow. But I know that I have fixed opinions about things. And so there have been a couple of guests that have really caused me to pause and redirect my thinking in a manner where I had to re-examine my perspective. Yes, for sure.
Jennifer?
Oh yeah, I've had plenty, but I will say in particular when we were talking, because I had one politician that I talked to on the Maker's Bar, and being down here in the South, we're a very red state, and as Seth said, we all have sort of our beliefs and our biases. But I will say, I feel like I have, one of the things that I have always been is a very open person, and I always say this even on my other show. Everybody that comes on my show, and I say this over and over, I don't care where they come from. I don't care the color of their skin, their political affiliation, whether they're religious or not. I don't care. I just want to know they're a decent human being. And the reason I've done that is because I want to have the different input. And so I have learned lots of things from different people. But there was one particular person that I interviewed on the Maker's Bar that came from up further up, and it was a different political stance than I was. And it was actually, when I went into the whole conversation, I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know how, not because I thought I was going to be nasty or anything like that, because I'm just not that kind of person, but I didn't know how I was going to feel going through the questions. But I will tell you something interesting that happened to that, because I could actually, during the time, I told people about this after I did the interview, I could actually put myself in this person's shoes for a moment to hear what they were saying and say, although I may not actually believe or maybe believe that that's the answer to the problem, I understand the problem that they were talking about and have some empathy for that and compassion. And so, yes, I've had that. That's a big one, because I still talk about that particular episode, because I'm like, man, that was such a hard one for me, because I didn't know how to do the questions and all of that. It was fine. It went fine. I went back and listened to it. Totally fine. But yes, there have been so many that I've gone through, and when I've gotten done, I've had a different perspective, or I've learned something new. And gosh, like, I didn't know that.
So I have to say, so I also live in California, and I can vouch that you didn't have any biases against me. And I that was one thing that I noticed about you, by the way. I was very surprised. And I remember sending you that guest, and I thought in my head, it registered in my head, like how the political affiliations would be very different. And I thought I should still do this because it made sense. Like, because that is what I stand for. I would totally listen to someone who had a very different political affiliation than me. And I would be like, that's totally fine. And I would not be upset at all. So
No.
I thought about it, but I know like how open-minded you are. So I was like, she'll be fine.
I want the questions. Like, I want to ask the questions. Like I'm a deep, like, if any of you ever sit down and have a conversation with me, you're going to find out. I'm going to ask you 100 questions because I want to know why you think the way you think. I want to know. I really want to understand it. So for me, anybody that comes on, I'm wanting to ask the questions. Like, I want to understand you.
Yeah, totally.
It was a good lesson for me, for sure.
And you definitely, I have to say, have opened my mind in many ways. I'm like, I still remember when you trusted me. I was like, wow, this woman is trusting me and we are so different from each other. I will never forget that day. So I felt like, yeah, she's my person kind of a thing, you know? So anyways.
I'm pretty open-minded most of the time. I'm open to hearing what somebody has to say.
Yeah. So anyways, next to Javi.
So I've spoken to a few people, and of course, like they have changed. Like whoever I've spoken to, they've come with new perspectives.
Yeah.
What is interesting is I feel that one person has changed my perspective to something, and the second person has changed my perspective to something else. Because everybody you speak to is so convinced and so convincing about and they're so passionate. And because when you're part of that conversation, you learn something new, right? So I think rather than just being like listening to change perspectives and also understanding, it's also accepting it every time that happens, right? And that has been the most surprising thing for me as well, because for me that is also a learning thing, that I'm learning different perspectives of the same topic from different people, and almost all of them are younger than me. And that's been there, and that's been great as well.
Yeah, and also because you're talking to people who have done something out of their life, right? So they have strong opinions, and that's why they're so passionate about their opinion. And you are like, oh, okay, that person is not wrong after all, kind of a thing, So that's amazing that you said. And acceptance is a big deal. Acceptance of different perspective is a really, really big deal, I would say. All right, Troy.
Yeah, no, I agree with everybody. That I've learned a lot. I was kind of scrolling through the list of people I've interviewed for Maker's Bar in particular. And a lot of these people I've come across, like they kind of change my perspective, maybe 1 or 2% within that conversation. And then one of the questions that I like to ask at the end, usually have like 2 or 3 questions that I almost always ask. Like, I think maybe it was on your list too, that you originally shared way back when. Did you have any books or mentors that have taught you a lot, like any lectures in particular, anything that I could pick up? And there's been a handful of them that they've recommended a book or a lecture that I've gone and watched and gone and read, and those have stuck with me too. So just like everyone here was saying, everyone has their own lived experiences, and you have your biases. And I'm also like Seth. I'm very much my father's son, where I'm very grateful that he's just like very open-minded, challenge yourself, challenge your beliefs. He always challenge, at dinner table, would always challenge us, challenge ourselves, and challenge our beliefs, and go fail at something, do all those great things. And I'm very much wired that way, where like I try and understand my own biases, and I try and take that bias and go challenge it. And I think from a political perspective, everyone you talk to, whether it's some piece of legislation you didn't know about, or just personal stories, all those things, and then from like the CEOs and founders and people like that I've talked to, it's always interesting just learning like, like you can be successful and you can do all these things that you want to do financially for yourself, for your family, and you can very much do it your own way, because everyone's got their own secret sauce to it. And when you're growing up as a teenager, young 20s, it's you're kind of just through social media, not through anyone's maliciousness, kind of like force fed a certain narrative of you have to do it XYZ way. And the more founders I've talked to, the more I've seen, like, you gotta understand who you are, and then you'll be your best you, and that's how you really find not just personal soul success, but also even financial success there too. So both those angles is something I've learned from guests here.
That's amazing. You got to find who you are. I agree totally, on that one. If it's only when you find yourself is when you can, navigate the rest of the things for sure. Yeah, totally agree with that one. Okay, what's something about podcasting you wish people knew? And we'll start with Seth this time.
That something about podcasting I wish people knew.
Yeah, yeah,
I wish they understood the preparedness.
yeah,
And when I say the preparedness, that's a big part. There has to be a preparedness, and I wish they understood that that is a part of the process in order for things to flow smoothly, in order for conversation to flow. And then for me, some of it, when you're prepared, it helps generate an organic conversation. For me, at least, that's been one of the biggest things. And and in that preparedness, there's an ease and a flow that I think happens because both people have a sense. And I think that's where Jennifer's comment comes in earlier. Having that pre-interview, having the preset interview does help set the stage to create a smoother environment as well. So I wish they understood the preparedness.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
I would add to that. I have so many. I have so many. I think that I would like people to know and understand that most of us do this as a labor of love project. We do this because we're passionate about making a difference. And when they show up and prepared to what Seth's saying, when they show up prepared, they're valuing our time just as much as we value theirs. And so even like when I set that pre-interview, with people, a lot of times I say, look, you know what, you have just as much as right to ask for that pre-interview as we do, because this is a mutual partnership. And I want this to be a win for both of us.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's really this whole attitude of how we show up. But I don't know, AK, do you have agents reach out to you to get their people on your show? Have you started having that?
So people do that, but I don't generally accept it.
Just doing
Yeah,
this.
I don't accept, and I get like even brands now reaching out. But the reason is I just want to maintain the how do I call it?
Integrity.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
integrity.
going to tell. No, I'm going somewhere. That's why I'm asking you this, because
No, I've had them. Just so you know, Jennifer, I've been
That's
having
why I know
them
you're
lately.
shaking your head.
I've had some reach out too. I even brought it to Arshita at times. Okay, do you want to pursue this? And to your credit, it's always no, we're not ready. We have to keep our.
Well, they're coming. They do on mine. But if y'all ever get to that, you really want some pointers on that one, talk to me on that one, because
I have to call you up.
Because I just did an episode with the one I released from my LA girl that's in Australia released. We had a whole spiel with this about how they drive me crazy because they're like, there's no investment, right? There's no investment because you're not talking to the guest. You need the guest.
Yeah.
The guest needs to talk to you. And so I've gotten now we're with them, I want to them, hey, I want to talk to your guest. So if your guest isn't willing to do that pre-call with me, then we're done. I don't want to do it because I want that buy-in and I want that mutual partnership, and that, all these things that we've been sharing right here are so important to the production of the show, to the quality, the integrity, to your brand, to the mission, to all of it. And so I feel like, to let the people know, we owe it to the audience to deliver.
Yeah.
And to be proud of what we're doing. And when we come from that place, I think it works because we find the right people, we bring in the right character. You see what I'm saying? And so there's so much to this. But yes, I think there's all of it. There's so much.
Yeah.
And if I may add to what Jennifer said, the agents that have been reaching out, I too say I want to speak to the guests as well. And that has served me well. So I've had a couple of great experience with some of the agents who want to do the scheduling. But it won't negate my wanting to talk to the actual guest itself. And I've been surprised that in my conversation, I say, well, what Makers Bar we're trying to do as a podcast bureau, we want to bring the human side of the story to it. And so that's why it's important for me to speak to the actual guest as well. So,
Amen.
Yeah, I totally agree. So what happens? What happens is if we bring in guests that are paid and everything, the integrity of the show kind of goes away, right? At some point, maybe we will do some brand collaborations or something like that, right? Later. But I don't want. The original mission is actually to create and raise 1 million leaders, right? And to give voice to folks who don't have a media platform. Like media will only come to you after you reach a certain stage, right? So that was the original goal, and I don't want to sway away from it and like dilute it and make it something which people can get on just because they pay money. You know what I mean?
You don't want to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I
Yeah. I don't want us to do that.
yeah, so it's like I get advice on a daily basis on what I should be doing with it. There was one friend of mine I went to business school with. One day he came to me and he said, hey, I want to make this and into an accelerator. I didn't want to be mean to anybody. I don't like being mean in general. So I just listened to the whole story and I said, "Hey, I'll get back to you on this one." And I don't know if it makes sense, but we'll talk about your accelerator project slightly differently or something like that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do that. I mean, there are tons of accelerators. You don't need to make this as in the VC accelerator. I felt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely think like the integrity of like creating and raising a million leaders. I mean, education is something which is very close to my heart. That is something which I'm like trying to explore and trying to figure it out, because if anything that has helped me is education. So that's something that would definitely, you will see stems of that coming as we go through this whole journey. But not interested in having folks who who want to do this for pay. We can do shorts or snippets eventually, right? People who now shorts are becoming a thing, right? But not doing like full-fledged interviews where we have to like literally make up and say a story for them. That's not something which, at least at this point, where we have become enough of bigger, we've had a bigger presence, and then we can take one-off things, but not doing at this stage for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Javi, on to you.
I'm adding to Seth's point earlier about preparedness. Soon after my second podcast, I realized that subject matter research is extremely important, and subject matter specifically being the person and the product. Um, because people talk about, like, people that I've spoken to, I've spoken about like building a medical school somewhere, to AI in tech and health, like something like carbon credits. And this is not something that I am comfortable with. Fortunately, most of them were Indian, so I could always like bring a legal angle to it and at least somehow sail through. But yeah, eventually, I realized soon that subject matter research was extremely important
Yeah.
before getting on a podcast. It's not as easy as a simple conversation. It may seem easy, but it's only because you've put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, of course.
And also, I think editing is something that's really difficult. I've started learning to edit videos now,
Yeah.
and that is a crazy thing. I have newfound respect for everybody who does that. Like, this is not something, yeah, that's not for the weak. Like, going through everything, managing the minute, the second, aligning the music and the video and the this, and wow,
Yeah.
that's also like a crazy feat, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about editing, and Ashwini does a lot of our work, right? And she's also like us. She's like, "Oh, we should do this only for society." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay, that's very interesting." And she's like, "Oh, we should never do this, or we should not do that." She's also very particular. We should do this for society. And I'm like, I have no idea how I hired you, but okay, this is what came out of you. So this is what came out of you as well, kind of a thing. So, anyways, so on to Troy.
Yeah, no, I think I just kind of re-emphasize what everyone said. I guess I could add that the amount of time that it takes to put together something that is what you want, or that you can be proud of, is insane. Like, before I found Maker's Bar, it was just searching for guests and editing and just every little thing that went into it. If you're creating shorts, the amount of time that took. I ended up finding a kid out of Morocco that would help me with that. And even with that, it took a long time, just going back and forth. Like, the amount of time and effort it takes to build a product you're proud of, and because in my mind, you hit record, you have the conversation, you end recording, and I feel like it was kind of that simple. But there's so much that goes into it. So the time was something that I think most people don't think about.
Yeah, yeah, totally hear you.
It's a lot of work.
Any there's been any vulnerable or emotional moment in for you in the podcast, and we'll start with Troy this time.
Um, yeah, I'd have to look through the list. I don't know how much emotion I've shown during
Yeah,
these, but I remember a handful of guests, like maybe through disagreement or maybe just through their own story, just touching me. One guest that comes to mind at the moment is Khalifa. Um,
yeah,
he's a Druze citizen, Druze,
yeah,
lives in northern Israel and southern Syria, that borderland. And um, his community, there was a bombing from Syria that killed, I want to say 11 children on a soccer field.
yeah.
And he went to the funeral and literally came home and had a podcast with me.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was
yeah,
I remember that conversation because we had met in person before. So he was a friend. It's also in the podcasting community, and he has his own little business with his dad back home. And so just he fit Make Us Bar in a lot of different ways. And so that conversation, I remember I was just being super grateful that he
yeah,
would just take the time in that moment for that. And there's other stories. I think I've done around 40 podcasts here, and there's plenty of other stories, but that one sticks out.
yeah. So he is a guest who surprised you as well, I would say.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. Okay. Okay. So what about you, Sahabi? Any guest who surprised you, or you had a vulnerable moment with them?
So I would say I think all of them surprised me a little bit, but there was this one conversation that I had with a female entrepreneur
Yeah.
before the interview, before the podcast, and before we started recording. She said, "Why are we doing this? Is it some Women's Week or something?"
Yeah.
And I had to think if it was, and then I realized it wasn't. And during the during while we were recording, I asked her, "Should I ask you this question? How does it feel to be, a woman in a like a founder woman in
Yeah.
this role where everybody is not from your gender, and then it's difficult in other ways, and also you're in
Yeah.
India and stuff like that." And the way she answered,
Yeah.
it was inspiring, and it hit me much later actually,
Yeah.
that how people perceive it, even
Yeah.
a woman in her role. And I immediately followed her on LinkedIn. This
Yeah.
is not something I do actually. I don't, but I immediately wanted to see what she would do next, because I was like, I want to know what she wants. That was a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the biggest thing about podcasting, right? Where in whichever form you do it, you meet so many interesting humans, and just their stories itself can like change you and make you think very differently, for sure. So, Jennifer, any guest who surprised you, or you had a vulnerable moment, or you
I have
know?
wonderful moments with all of them. They all changed me. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm going back because I'm thinking about like between your show and my show, like all the difference. But there was a gal on yours. I can't think of her last name, Shannon.
Yeah,
I
yes, I remember her
yeah,
very
this
well.
talked to her, and she had this story about her mother dying, being misdiagnosed, and I think she ended up dying of I can't remember if it was pancreatic cancer or what, but she had gotten misdiagnosed and ended up passing.
Yeah.
And there's moments I talk about when I do podcasts, and I don't know if you guys have these moments where like you get the chills, like while you're talking to somebody, you just sort of have that, oh, you can feel it. And she was one of those people, and that mostly because I've had to deal with some really crazy, weird, rare health challenges that have altered my life in extremely significant ways. And they're the reason that I do the work that I do today. So anytime I get on, a show, now I'm not to say that other shows do that, but anytime I get on a show where somebody's talking about hardships that Seth, you and I need to talk. Anytime I hear somebody that's had to go through health hardships for extended periods of time, that is always going to resonate with me because I know the devastation that can do. And so she was one, but I will say that they all have an impact. You know, I've talked about this in all the years, 22 years I was at Mary Kay. I met a lot of incredible people, but I will tell you, most of the growth that I have learned has been in the last 6 years that I've been podcasting, because I have talked to so many different people, and each of them, I can tell, I have so many stories. Like I have so many, like, you know, like you talk about the Dunbar effects, is we can only remember about 150 people and the
Yeah.
details. I will be in the middle of a conversation, Seth, for instance, talking to somebody, and I'll be like, dude, I need to connect you with somebody. Like, and I don't know whether they're coming from Maker's Bar or they're coming from my other shows, but I will have somebody always that I need to be connecting, because there will be something someone says to me that resonates with something someone else. And so I feel like I've learned, they've all wowed me in some way. I've learned something from them all.
Yeah. So thank you, Jennifer. I forget a lot. So I know that moment where you're like, okay, you don't remember this person's last name, but you've heard the story somewhere.
I can tell you who they are, what they look like
Yeah.
they're, but I forget their names.
And then thankfully there's technology now. I just look up, you know, that's what I do.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I mean, who's that person? She was on my show. She did this, like the cute MIT girl that I sent to Maker's Bar that was on my show that I sent there. It's cute. I mean, I'm like, what's her name? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That has happened to me as well. Yeah. So Seth, on to you. Yeah.
There's been a couple that actually even during the interview that brought me to tears, and I immediately think of Peter Kushi Kusungo, who we did an interview. Yes, we did an interview while he was in Zambia, and even now it still can get my heart that he created a village where the young people can all be together, but their drinking water was the same place as the animals would use for excrement. And during our interview, we had tried to schedule an interview several times, and when we finally did, we were in the interview and they had a blackout due to a bombing situation that happened there. And he still tried. It still can get me.
Yeah.
And he still wanted to get out the message on, they just wanted to get water, but the red tape that they were going through in their bureaucracy was because the government was not able to get a cut of the funds to help the filtration system. Now, circa a few months ago, a buddy of mine who was in I used to book a lot of bands as well. And a buddy of mine said, hey, Seth, come to our church and just check it out, because our pastor, he's going over to Zambia. What? And so I went over to talk to the pastor, and I talked to him, and he said he wanted to meet Peter. And when you know it, the most incredible thing, and this is when I think about some of the incredible people I've met through Maker's Bar. He went over to Zambia. He got him introduced to the bishop there, and they are putting in a filtration system there, and that's through Maker's Bar. So they got a water filtration system in there. And I talked to Peter and the president of the youth parliament over there, and they can't even say, they wrote us, he just wrote a thing I posted on LinkedIn the other day, and the changing of lives that I witnessed through some of the connections and the guests that, not just Peter, Ben Goya is another one I can think of as well, but Peter Kushi Kusungo, and that changed their lives. So that pastor flew over to Zambia. They have went over to the bishop, and they have a water filtration project that's going on now. And those kids have that. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, here's this nappy-headed dread dude from California that talked to these people and got them connected. And they now have a water filtration system in there that to this day still brings me to tears. And then Ben Goya, he wrote a book called Influence with the Heart, where he was talking about influencing entrepreneurs and founders and CEOs and how to be a CEO with a heart and leadership. And that changed. He had such a quiet, subdued nature, and that just brought a peace over me during our conversation. And all the people he's introduced me to has created this other sense of peacefulness. And when we got on the pre-interview, and I was thinking, this is going to be so super dope. I'm going to talk to this cat. He's going to be smooth and chill, jazzy like me. And he was smooth and chill, jazzy like that, but he had this peaceful nature that just immediately brings you into a centered space. Yeah. And when we did the pre-interview and when we did the actual interview, I just felt my whole zone be in this place of peace and oneness. And that I already tend to be a person of that nature, but in the scatterizing of how the world is today, it brought this whole other sense of being to myself. And he has still changed a great deal on how I even go into some of the guests. There have been others, but those are the two most immediate. And my last one I'll say is Dr. Jacqueline King. She wrote a book that empowers women, and she has like 4 million followers, and she really wanted women to feel empowered. And she created this sense of empowerment in me as a man in talking to her, because she had that peaceful state that Ben had, but she had such a commanding presence to say, recognize my words because I love you. And that put me on pause, that here's this woman that she has this incredible sense of self. How can you not feel what she's radiating to you? Those are three of the most immediate that come to mind of late.
Yeah. And I have a confession. I mean, culturally, we are all so different. And there are so many things that I don't understand culturally. And sometimes I look at these guests and I'm like, what is this? And I think I messaged some of you and said, what does this stand for? I'm sorry.
You have me, AK. You have sent me. You said Seth.
I don't understand what is this, but I don't understand this. But then I'm like, okay, like I have to. I'm like, okay, I trust you guys, so this is going to work out, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So okay. So the next question: one book or a podcast that changed your lives. Let's start with Seth this time. Yeah.
I immediately I'd go back to my guest Ben Goya, Influence with the Heart.
Yeah.
He was talking about entrepreneurs and how to do leadership and become a leader with the heart. That immediately comes to my mind. That book that he wrote is something else. Yeah.
And it could be any book as well. So Jennifer, something that changed.
Well, I have lots, but my one main book that I go to it with everybody is Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. My favorite book ever.
Yeah.
I tell all my clients to read it. Every kid should read it. Favorite book.
Yeah. I agree. So Javi?
So I like this author called Mitch Albom. I love everything that he's written, starting with like Tuesdays with Maury and other works. But the last few years, I read this book called The Timekeeper, which was about God creating punishment for man for learning how to manage time and all that. And so the book is a really slow read and it feels really heavy, I feel. But at the end of it, it all makes sense. So that was, very important book for me.
Yeah. Troy, any book, podcast that changed your life?
A lot come to mind. It would have to kind of be more specific to like what part of my life, but I'm trying to keep it like podcast specific. I think The Righteous Vine by Jonathan Haidt. Actually, I like him a lot. I think everything he's written has been incredible. Yeah, he's really good. So that one, that helped me a lot when first getting into like podcasting and someone that I wanted to read, because I'm going to be talking to people with all sorts of different opinions, and most human beings I don't think are pushed and tempted to try and stay centrist in the center and look for perspectives like that. Again, lucky that he's my dad. And that one was one that really sticks out just at the moment.
Yeah. For me, it was this book I read in 2017. I was an agnostic until 2017. I read a book, It All Abides by Love. That book changed my DNA. Like literally, next day I woke up and I was a very different human being. So that book definitely changed me. Anyways, if Maker's Bar was a cocktail, what would it be, Troy? And I don't know how many of you consume alcohol, and if you don't do, then it's okay to say I don't know what cocktail.
Hey, don't judge. Nobody judges. This is one of my favorite subjects. This is one of my favorite subjects.
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't know, but I've always kind of people ask me like, what is Maker's Bar? Why the name? I was like, honestly, what I kind of picture it as is like, imagine sitting down at a bar top and you just sit down next to someone who's made something great. You know, a founder of some sort, or someone that's trying to change the world in XYZ way. Like that's how I pictured it. Like you sit down at the bar and you get to meet this incredible human. For me, it's a bar top. It's not even a drink. I can't think of a drink in particular.
Okay. I love that story, Troy. I never thought about it that way, but I love that. So I really love it. So Harvey, if it was a cocktail, what would it be?
Um, I don't think I can name or describe a cocktail, but it would be a cocktail that doesn't give a hangover
Yeah.
because so whatever that is, whenever that's created.
Anything without sugar in it, probably. Or a little alcohol, maybe water.
It depends. It depends on your bartender, Suavi.
That's true. That's true. So we have Akshata here. She'll tell us actually.
AK. All right, AK.
There was times when I would make cocktails, but now those times are gone. So okay, Jennifer.
I probably have to go with like a hurricane because it's just like a little mix of everything going on here. We just got all walks of life coming into this party and having fun.
That's a
Yeah.
great one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seth.
Probably an old fashioned with the Moscow Mule to the side. Because I think it's a mixture that goes down smooth, but it can pack a powerful punch and catch up on you before you know it. That's how I would kind of think of it. Yeah. I think because Moscow Mules have this really tasty kind of flavor. And you know what, Suavi? They don't give you a hangover if they're made right.
That's actually one of my favorite drinks.
Right. I am a Moscow Mule girl, and that's probably because it doesn't.
So
give
am
us-
I. Yeah. So am I. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
They're so good, and you got to have
Yeah.
them in the right kind of cup. But
Yep.
I think I'd have to think about that too. And Troy, I got to tell you, I like your idea of Maker's Bar and that sets too. I got to think about that. I think that Moscow Mule goes down smooth and easy and can pack a powerful punch later on. And then you're kind of, especially if you had two Moscow Mules, then you're kind of like this. Oh, wow. I gotta
Yeah. I just think of the days when I used to not get any hangover. Now I cannot even have a glass. It's like that bad.
Okay, actually, a quick question for you, Akshata. How did you come across the name Maker's Bar? I don't think I've ever actually heard that story. What made you stick with this one, like this name?
The name, I have to say, some of it is like not.
AK.
Oh no.
I mean, being
AK?
a person of science, I sound very cool when I say something like this. Yeah. But I don't know. When I first did the first podcast, I always felt like this is going to become something. I always felt that. And I just stuck with the name. And I know Yahoo gave me a lot of trouble around it. But I just felt like this is it. I don't know what was it, but I felt like this is it. Like from the very first time when that name hit me, I felt like this is, and many people told me, why are you fighting Yahoo? Just go change the name. I was not willing to change the name at all. I have no idea why. If you ask me, I just stuck to it. There's certain things, I'm very strong-headed. I might not come across like that. But if I believe in something, like I'm like a mountain. You cannot move me. Like I'll just sit there, kind of a thing. So, like I remember there was one guest who was the first politician that we interviewed, and I had interviewed him, and he told me, "Why didn't you change the name, Akshata?" I mean, who? And that time I was fighting Yahoo. Why are you fighting Yahoo? And I said, "No, I'm not going to change the name. I'll figure it out," kind of a thing, And I just decided to stick around with the name. There are many times where the name had to be changed, but I just said this is it. And I'll tell you another story. As you're working on the SEO, now it's a ChatGPT era, but as you're working on the SEO, whenever you put Maker's Bar, it used to only come across as bars. Like all the bars would come up on Google search. I was embarrassed. I was like, what do I do with this? But somehow, we got to our SEO, and now Maker's Bar is like good. But I mean, it was, and another thing was like you said, right? Like the founders would come and talk at the bar. I mean, that's kind of the initial. I mean, I didn't think about it from that perspective, but I felt like if it was like so Javi, since you live in Bombay, you probably know what is that, Soho House, or is that Soho House? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it felt like initially I thought maybe it'll be something like that. But I mean, it turned out to be very different. But I just felt like the name kind of stayed, and I didn't feel like changing it. So yeah, and it was different. There's a very interesting story about how I got makersbar.com, and it's a very crazy story. I had narrated to Seth once. I didn't have makersbar.com as a this thing. And I'm not religious. I'm actually very spiritual. I don't believe in any religion. And there's a low, and even the saints that I believe in, they were never religious. All kinds of religion actually follow them. And that's something that has been my North Star all my life. And so what happened was I go to this local temple here, and it's the saint called Sai Baba, and he's also like all kinds of religion follow him. And then I'm a big follower of this saint called Neem Karoli Baba, and that's the book that changed me, and that's where I went in India to Kechi Dham. That was his ashram. And what happened was I'm not a temple goer either, and I was like I went one day because I was having some small troubles in life and just decided to donate. Whenever I have some small troubles in life, I donate money. So what happened was my transaction didn't go through, and then I had to go back to the temple again just to donate that money, and that day I saw like something about that idol, like it was like speaking to me and said like you should come here. So I started going there every Thursday. And then one final day, I saw that they had put up this idol of Neem Karoli Baba, and I was like really shocked. There are not many places where you have these Neem Karoli Baba's idol, and in that temple they have a idol of Neem Karoli Baba, and they're situating it over there. So I decided to donate money. And it was not a small amount. It was a decent amount. It was around $5,000. I felt really like my heart was full when I saw it. And I thought like, I'll donate $5,000 to this temple. And I wake up next day thinking like, I'm going to take my checkbook, give this donation and come back, right? And I wake up with this thought that don't do the donation, buy makersbar.com. And I had no idea how much it costs, nothing, right? And so I don't know why I woke up with that. So I had to get my hair cut. So generally because I'm working all the time, I take my laptop, and I'm working mothers when my son is young. I took my laptop to my place where I was getting my hair cut, and I open the website, go to GoDaddy, and then I say like, okay, makersbar.com, and it is 5 something change. And then I bought them a domain. That's kind of how I bought makersbar.com. And I was really shocked. I was like, why? Why was the price the same? I have no idea, no clue, why was the price the same? And that's pretty much how we got the .com domain. It was .co earlier. And so there were so many things which were not, how do I call it? It was not normal. I find it very hard to explain it. But I've seen some things which my science cannot explain. I definitely think, let's start with you and Troy, you and Jennifer trusting me. Like my science cannot explain that. I have no idea why you would decide to trust me at that time, right? So I am grateful, to have all you folks and to get this going. And even like post me, I want to make sure this is how it continues. It has to be in the right hands. And I tell it to my son and everybody around that it has to be in the right hands so that it's not used in any wrong way, kind of a thing. And obviously for that, I need to be somebody who's like a mountain, who doesn't move that easily. So money doesn't sway me that easily. And you all must have figured that out.
Okay.
I will look at it and I'll be like, okay, I don't want to do this kind of a thing just for money. So I definitely want to make sure that as we go through this, it's sticking around, and it's sticking around beyond my lifetime as well, and in some form, and it's in the right hands. And I feel like I don't have to do anything. It'll be taken care of in some form or the other. It's happening like that. It's like going with the flow, would say. Yeah. So moving on to the next question, what is next for Makers? And we'll start with Troy this time. Yeah.
That's a good question. I feel like we're gonna just keep doing what we've been doing, and I feel like that 1 million subscriber mark on YouTube is closer than it's been exponential growth. I think we're at somewhere at 380 something right now, and
388.
388. And
not that I'm counting or I keep checking it. And I send AK a check mark, say, we're doing it, chick, we're doing it.
I love it. So I remember we were like when it was like tens of thousands, and every 10,000 was like it took a while, and then all of a sudden it hit 100, then there was 120 like that, and it was like, so it just it's growing. So I'm excited to see the opportunities that I can't imagine at the moment that just aren't here yet, that are just going to pop up from that growth. And I don't know. I'm excited to see what's next after all of that.
Yeah. Same here. So, Javi, what do you want to do next? I know we have to cater to the Indian politicians next. I'm aware of it. So,
Yes, that was going to be my point actually, that we should be looking at India as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
And I know you almost gave me the opportunity to talk to a politician in the States, right?
yeah, yeah,
And it didn't work out. And I think that's for the best, because I wouldn't have been the right person for
yeah,
it anyway. But yeah, I think we should definitely focus on India, and maybe all of us should
yeah,
focus on India and like interview Indian politicians, and
yeah,
maybe then they can be answerable.
yeah.
I'd love to have a chance to do that. I'd have to do research obviously beforehand, but that'd be a very
I'll help you.
cool opportunity. Thank you.
And
Sure.
same here. I shared with AK. I have an Indian brother, Singh,
Yeah.
brother-in-law, who was
Yeah.
married to my sister. So I definitely would love to do that as well. To me, it's open.
Yeah. That is the next thing. I feel like India is like the biggest democracy, and there are like a billion people. And if it grows there, and especially if you have Indian politicians, and it doesn't have to be like all the Nirmala Sitarams of the world or whatever, it can be like in your local politics, right? And that itself is like in Bombay, you have so many of them. So that's something, I think that's the next thing that we are looking to do, because it takes time doing all this. Like you have to create a list, reach out to them, and do all
There's
of that.
also a language issue.
Yeah.
And especially for right now in the state that I am in, there is they're pro their state language, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
will also be an issue. But I think we can figure something.
Yeah, we figure something out. Yeah, for sure. Jennifer, what do you think we should be doing next?
I don't know, because I mean, I think you're doing it. I think you're growing it, and I want to say something to go back to your being a mountain, because I think there's something incredible about being and standing steadfast in whatever it is that you believe in. And I say that I'm in the middle of doing a trademark thing, or trademark with my starter girls right now. I'm kind of going through the same
Glad
thing.
you're doing that. Yeah.
Your email actually that you sent out that while back, the email about having to go through all that was what prompted me. And then of course I sent my trademark in, they kicked it back, and now I'm having an attorney and I'm going through kind of a similar ordeal. But I said, kind of to the point, the mountain standing is that I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in the movement that I'm trying to create. And I even asked the attorney, I said, well, if they kick this back again, what are my other options? Because I'm just not willing to bend. Right. So I want to commend you on that, because I think you're already doing what you were called to be doing. Right. And I think that that's what this is all really about at the end of the day, is you kind of said that in the beginning about not having to find the seeking because you feel fulfilled with what you're doing. And that's the same thing I say every day when people are like, well, what like the number one question that comes up is, are you making money on your podcast? I make money. Okay. My podcast is not the immediate ROI, right? Just probably like this, but what it does is it creates opportunity. It creates impact. It opens the doors. Thursday, I facilitated an event here in my town and did and interviewed a president of a chamber community. So it brings about opportunity, right? And it creates that impact and influence. And so I think it's just fun on my perspective, and I'm sure you guys maybe feel the same way, is to be a part of that, to be in the movement of that, creating that change.
Yeah.
And it's changing other people's lives, and it's putting, information out there, giving them knowledge and letting them take that knowledge and use it where they need to use it.
Yeah. Agree. Totally agree. And I also feel like we'll continue doing this, and as it expands, as Troy said, there'll be opportunities that we don't even know like what's going to come up.
Yeah.
And Seth, I know you write me a lot about all ideas.
You guys must know I'm constantly with AK saying, "Yo, chick, you're doing it." I see us as the next Spotify, the next TED Talks. In 10 years, I see Maker's Bar having created not only the 1 million leaders, but having people feel inspired by the guests that each of us interviewed. In 10 years, I see that we've dominated the market on innovation and entrepreneurship and creating classes and courses where young people from several places, India, Africa, Canada, Spain, Greece, Jerusalem, Puerto Rico. I see a number of different places that Makers Bar will have its own satellite programs in it. And I see that 10-year expansion happening. In addition to, I tagging along with what a number of you said, the opportunities that it's given me for some of the other ventures that I've gone into as far as coming on as a guest and or as a host and or a person who can host an event, having done that prior. Makers Bar has been a huge part of that because of the people that have been able to use it for themselves. I say this artist who's going on a sold out tour now, his name is AJ McQueen. And Makers Bar has been a launching pad for a number of other people and what the message they're trying to get across. So in 10 years, I see Makers Bar's name being mentioned as being a platform that has launched other careers and or generated other business for some of the guests that we've had on and has signified a strong change. In addition to that, I won't even be surprised if one of our guests on one of our podcasts from Makers Bar has launched their presidential campaign and or they're running.
Oh, wow. I like that.
And I see us being the platform where they say that and launch it from us. And we are that platform that has brought in that attention.
Yeah, I would love that if that happens when, somebody who becomes a president from,
Oh, yeah. I see it.
That would be
I see it.
Nirvana for sure, I would say. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think education is one of the places where it'll definitely expand. I feel like it'll touch a lot of lives. My lifetime, after my lifetime as well, it'll touch a lot of lives. And somehow, like, I don't know how to say this. I always knew it from after my trip to Ketchidam, like this is going to become something. And I mean, and I've never been, I've never like want to possess it. Like I've not want to like possess it at all because I've realized that this is not mine to possess. You see what I'm saying? So I always felt like it's not mine. It's just gonna continue with or without me. So I felt like I should just let it grow, and that's why I've given full autonomy to everyone and have said that these are our ethos. We stick to it, and that's it. And you all have full autonomy in whatever you're doing. And I know you're all adults and you know what you're doing as well. So that has taken us this far for sure. And I'm grateful for the journey for the time that I'm going to be here. I'm grateful that I'm experiencing this and it is giving me the biggest satisfaction. And as Jennifer said, right, it's not about the money. The happiest people I have realized the happiest people in the world are people who do for others. And this is very simple. It is see, 99% of humans cannot do for others. And this is a stat. I'm not making this up. And the 1% who do, they are the happiest on the planet. And it's people go to psychologists, people go to try to figure out their life. They try to do this, they buy material things and all that stuff. None of it can give a high when you compared to doing for others. It's not even writing a check. It's actually really literally being helpful to others. And that is the biggest high a human can have. And that for me, Makers Bar has given me every way. Yeah. So,
and if I may add, AK, one of the things is I think the world that we're living in now, especially within this last month, I like the fact that Makers Bar provides a platform where people can feel we still have great things that we're doing. We're still able to converse about it. We're still able to be in contact and touch with each other. And I think Makers Bar is one of those places of safety and information that during the times people feel like they can come to and get that safety and information out. And I like that we're a space for that. We're a safe space for that.
Actually, there was a politician who said that I don't give interviews. I only am giving to you guys because you feel like a safe place. I was very shocked when I heard that. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Anyways, okay. The next question. So we'll start with Seth this time. How do you want to be remembered in the next 10 years? How do you want Makers Bar to be remembered in the next 10 years? And this is the last question. We are 1.5 hours. It was a 1 hour podcast, and we are at 1.5 hours. I'm sorry, guys. So, yeah.
How do I want it to be remembered? That we brought guests to the public that have launched their own career successfully, and they mention Makerspar as the place that gave them that opportunity. That they say Makerspar with reverence, that I had an opportunity to share my innovation, my ideas, or my political beliefs, and Makerspar was a part of that. I'd like us to be remembered as that place 10 years from now. And then, of course, I think I go back to I like the idea that we were the launching pad for someone who launched a political campaign, and they attribute it to Makerspar.
Yeah, I would love that too. Jennifer?
I like what Seth said, but I also say just as an open place for dialogue, a place where people, it doesn't matter where you come from, walk of life, whatever. The goal here is to launch, is to share your story, whatever that be, and it be a safe place to do that.
Yeah, agreed. So Javi?
Yeah, adding to what they've said, like a place which has done good for regular people
Yeah,
and people with similar aspirations.
yeah.
I mean, of course, perspectives and everything is different, but at the base of it all, um, we are similar, wanting similar things. So yeah, I want Makers Bar to be remembered like
Troy?
Yeah, I would say what Maker's Bar to be known for, not remembered. I think we'd still be early in the journey for Maker's Bar.
Oh yeah, true.
But yeah, I think I like what everybody said. Honestly, like it's a place that you can bring your journey, your story, your beliefs, and share those lessons with the world. And hopefully, you're getting as much out of Maker's Bar as we're getting out of the guests. And like Seth said, you can launch a career, a tour, a political campaign would be incredible. And a place like similar to a TED Talks, like I would like to be known in that sort of ranks, and a place where, like, oh yeah, I want to go share this message, this journey.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, has to go to Makerspace, and so I think it's truly 100% believe that's where we're heading here. So it's very
So
exciting part of it.
I see TED was mentioned twice, so I have a story around TED. So at the very beginning, I remember when I came back from Kechi, I locked myself down, and in my parents, I was doing some elder care during that time, and I have a two-story home. I was in the bedroom upstairs, and I would lock myself down. I would look at TED's website. I would look at the branding, like for hours. All I did was just look at TED's branding, just stare at it, and like be like, it has to stand out like this, right? And that was like my only goal, like whatever be it, the branding has to look like this, because TED has a very unique branding. You cannot miss TED's branding. And I've spent hours staring at it, and whenever people like say, oh, it reminds me of TED Talks, I feel like, oh wow, I did something right back then, kind of a thing. So yeah, so anyways, I am really glad after doing this. I feel like you can see the smile on my face. I feel like really my heart is full. So I feel really good doing this. And thank you for taking the time on a Saturday morning and Saturday night for you, Suhavi, and doing
it's
this.
Sunday morning for me now.
Sunday morning for you now. I'm sorry about that.
And I'm just saying it was 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah. So thank you for doing this, and it was my pleasure hosting you all, and learning about you and talking about different stories, and I hope we kick some I don't know, we kick some football, I guess.
We kick some butt. We kick some butt, AK.
I didn't want to say that. We kick some football, I guess. So, yeah, and I'm hoping that we continue this journey, and it's something that we look 10 years from now, and we're all proud of what we all started out with. So that's my goal. There'll be times, I always tell this, there'll be times where Seth told me about how we should have a viral moment, and I'm aware that we should have a viral moment, and I'm afraid of having that viral moment as well, because that means after the viral moment, like I don't know how my life would change, right? And I've tried to be on the low key and everything, right? So we might have that. That's something that I'm thinking about it, and it won't be the same. And I hope. you all don't give out your public information and everything outside that easily, and so just to make sure. And that's something, that as this grows, you all are going to become very famous, and you obviously have a lot of responsibility as well. And with that, with great power comes great responsibility. So yeah, that's something that I always want to iterate and always stick to a basic ethos of being at the center. Yeah.
Well, AK, I'd like to be one of the first to thank all of you again. Thank
Yeah.
you, AK, for this opportunity to grow with an organization that is making such a huge change. And to my colleagues, I'm glad I got to see some of your interviews and see Troy. I've been really a fan of yours for a minute. And Jennifer, I came on to you late, but I love your kind of spunk. That's very East Coast vibe for me. And so I just got to say, Suhavi, please forgive me. I will turn in to start tuning them. I'm just so glad to be amongst such an incredible caliber of people and us being dedicated to this mission called Maker's Bar. And I thank you for the opportunity for us growing together. And I'm looking for another panel discussion, maybe a year from now, and seeing just at this point where we've grown from here. I am the biggest Maker's Bar fan of all of you. And AK is definitely the silent gun with a peace and love vibe. So more power to AK and Maker's Bar and all of you. Thank you guys for just being such an incredible team. And I'm looking forward to all the great things we're going to continue to do and the great people we're going to bring to the world and the participation we have and more love coming into our universe.
Yeah, same here. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you for summing it so well.
Yes.
Thank you.